Right. So while we wait, I would introduce us to using Power Query in Excel very quickly. And I said introduce because we are going to really use Power Query in more in-depth when we get into Power BI. Hopefully before the end of this week, we should reach, Power BI as well. Okay. So I'm going to open something new now so that I don't want us to work on this one. So I'm going to open a new file. Okay. And let's say that you need to plug your Excel into some data source, maybe a database, the work is not within Excel. It could be as well, it could be that you have the table within your workbook. It could be that it's not there and you have to get your source, your data, the data source from other places, and be able to make them coherent, bring them all together, and just it requires a bit more, in quote, complex kind of manipulation that you need to do, and you feel that, okay, taking it through Power Query is the best thing to do in that instance, okay? So how we get into that is that we go into data, and when you use the data button, you see that it opens up all of these, all of these accessible other buttons. The first one being get data, okay, from the name get data. And if you read this, it says easily discover, connect, and combine data from multiple sources, then shape and refine it to meet your needs. Okay, so I love using it a lot, and we'll see what it looks like. Now, these are just extensions of get data. If you want to get data from text, from a text file within your computer or CSV file, all you just need to do is click on there, and it takes you to your folders, and then you can easily connect to, if you know the name of the folder, you can easily, put the name of it there and get it. Okay. For example, I know the one we were working on interview. I know interview, yeah, it's interview questions, this one, or real estate inventory, and you can see from here, it says text files. So all it's brought, is just the text files. Okay. If I take these out and see if it's possible at all to find anything that we can play around with, that would be great. Okay. So I'm seeing some things. Maybe I want to bring in let me not use that for copyright reasons. I got that from a YouTube video. Employee case scenario. Okay, let's look at this. So I say if I'm saying this is the file I need. Okay, so I click on it, it puts it there, and I import it. Okay, and then it opens this navigator. It brings this here. It opens this up for me. The file origin is from my Windows. The delimiter, it's a comma file, comma separated file. That's why it's called CSV. And this is telling us that based on the first 200 rows, this is what the tables in it looks like. Then we have below here, it's saying load the data, transform the data, or cancel this process. Okay. Now, if you are very sure that you don't need to do any manipulation in your table, it is clean, there's no problem with it, okay, you just go on and load. if I look at the bottom, the drop down, it's asking you load and load to. Okay. In case you have a particular part of Excel in mind that you want to load it to, that's the load to. In case you just want to load, it's not like you have a specific location that you want to load it to. It's just a load, okay? But we're not going to load straight away because the plan of the class is for us to get into Power Query. And how we get into Power Query is when we want to transform our data, okay? So I'm going to click on Transform Data because I feel like, no, my data actually needs some transformation, you know. And we have this, that's the name of the table. It says that's a query. Query is table, by the way. Okay, you know, and you can easily see that there's something not right. Row 1, name, gender, department, salary, location, rating. Okay, so the row 1 is supposed to be the header, and it's just put column 1, column 2, column 3 as headers. Those don't mean anything to anyone at all. Okay, so straight on, you already see that there's a problem that I need to fix. Okay, which we will get to. And if we go to, now the beauty of seeing this now is we are still going to see more of it in Power BI. So it's good that we start to get a hang of things here. Okay, so if you go to the right-hand side where it says query settings, under there we have properties, and there you have name. Now, if this is not the name that you want for your table, if you've got a different name in mind, you can easily change it here, okay? I may decide to say that the name for my table is employee case scenario, okay? And I just enter that, okay? That changes it here, and it changes the name of it there. Or I can decide to just right-click. If I right-click on here, we see you can make a copy of it, you can delete it, you can rename it here as well. You can duplicate it, you can reference it. What those two mean, we'll be seeing as time goes on. You can move this to, maybe you are forming a group that you want to categorize it into. You can move it to a group, create function. You can check the advanced editor. Again, we'll see what that is. And you can do a few things just by right-clicking on it, you know, on there. I'll take us back to the right-hand side under query settings. We've said about how you change the name of your query. And now we have what we call applied steps. Okay. Now, you know, within your Microsoft document, normally you would have, maybe you did a step that you want to undo. You will click on maybe Control Z or an undo icon on top, and you just undo that step and it undoes. It gets undone, not undoes. It gets undone, you know. So, but in Power Query, you don't have that. Now, how do you then cancel a step that you had done before that you don't want anymore? We get all of that done under applied settings. So for each function that you do, each operation that you perform, it gets recorded in applied steps. It records it here. Okay, so if I go to the first step here, that's source. Okay, if I click on source, and we look at the formula, this is the M query. This is called the mashup language. M query is the name of the programming language that's used here. And that is just telling us that equals CSV dot document. It was a CSV document. The file content, the path where we got it from is from within my OneDrive. And it's a comma separated file. That's why it says delimiter is comma. You can see the comma in bracket. And it says columns equals, and it goes on encoding, quote style, and so on and so forth. Okay, how to understand this, again, we'll see more of that when we get Power BI. Or I just thought to touch on it here. So that's what the source. Now you have no business trying to understand, or not trying to understand. It's good to understand it, but trying to write this, the Excel writes it for you, Power Query writes it for you. It's like it just takes the next step and it writes up a code for it. You see, the next step, which it calls change type. What is just done is table.transform column types. It's telling us that it's transformed the column types, all of the columns that is transformed the types of them, you know. If we go back to the source, you know, even the column types is talking about data type. Where it says ABC here, it means text. ABC for text. So that this is a text column. Now, if it were to be numbers and you wanted to change it back to number, okay, we just click on here and you see all of your data type, you know, if it's decimal number, currency, whole number, percentage, date, time, date, and so on and so forth. You can easily change your data type here. We already said about how data type is very important in your data analytics work. You have to use the right data type for the right column and for the right reasons. Okay. Now, again, you see this clock wheel, this settings icon here. If you click on that, then it opens up exactly what it has done for that step. Okay, so it's just telling us that the file path was that it opened the file as a CSV file, the origin of the file, and other things there. Okay, so I'll cancel that. But if you don't click on the clock wheel and you just click on the side there, it just brings you to the step, and there it brings you to the step. Now, you know how I said about you can undo a step. Let's say that I just want to, this change type, I just want to cancel it because I don't feel it's right. Can you see the X by the side there? That's like a scissors for cutting something. I can cut it out by just clicking that. And we are just left with source. Okay. Now I need to make a correction here. Column 1, column 2, column 3, that's not the name of my headers, okay? I need to ensure that name, gender, department, they all come up. There is a function which we can get either by clicking on the side here. It says use first row as header. Okay, I'm saying that this first row here, I need you to use it as the header, okay? So we can get it from there, or we can get it from somewhere else within here. Let me see. Home, yeah. Under home, we can also get it from here. Okay, if I click on the drop down, you have two options there. It says use first row as header. If I click on the use first row as header, you see it then brings what was the first row before, it brings it up as the header. You see, that correction is made. And that is the start of your journey to manipulating and transforming your data within Power Query. Okay, if I go back into that same, use first row as header and click the drop down and see how does this use headers as first row. I'm now saying that these headers you're seeing here, demote them and use them as first row. Okay, if I do that, it just brings them back, it brings those headers back to where they were before. And if you notice, everything I've just done has been recorded under the apply step. There was source and there was change type. I removed change type and we were left with just the source. Then I went on to promote the header and it gave us that. If I click on this plug wheel, okay, it says use first rows as header, promote the first row of the data in the table to column headers, type, promote all scalar types, and that was just it. Okay, then immediately it did that. It just decided to change the type for me. Okay, now this change type, it is my duty to go check and be sure that Power Query has done the right thing with my, it has done the right thing with my data type, what it has changed them, what type it has changed my columns, the data type into. So I checked the first one, that is name, ABC. Okay, yes, name is text, so I'm fine with that. Then I have gender here. Okay, gender, ABC, yeah, ABC, gender is fine as well as text. The ABC stands for text, like I said before. Department, the different departments, well, that is good, ABC, so it's getting it right. But then I get to salary, and I'm seeing ABC for salary as well. And I believe that's because of the dollar sign that we see with it. Because of the dollar sign it sees with it, it doesn't realize that it's dealing straight away, that it's dealing with numbers. Okay. So you can decide to change this to currency. We change it to currency. And it's asking me that, do I want to insert this step? Because can you see, there are steps underneath here. It's reminding me that, do I want to, are you sure you want to insert a step? Inserting an intermediate step may affect subsequent steps, which could cause your query to break. So it's warning me that, am I sure I want to do that at this stage? Okay, so I'm saying yes, insert it, you know. And it's still telling me that change column type, replace current. Yes, replace the current, okay. It brings error. It's not agreeing with what I just did now, okay. So I'm going to remove that. I'm also going to remove, remember that just to show us how to use this second function, use headers as first row. That's why I did this part. We don't really need it. I was just using it to show us. So I can remove that as well. Okay. Yes, I want to delete this step. And now there's problem. It's saying that the column 1 of the table wasn't found, which is right, you know. So I'm going to delete this step as well. So we are left with where we should actually be, okay? And we have checked for all of this. Now, what I would normally do here is I may decide to see if there is, if I need to trim this in case there's, trimming is you are removing any extra space that could be at the back. For example, if I click on this, if you look at the bottom here, maybe there's a trailing space just after the last zero, or maybe there's a space just before the dollar sign that I need to deal with. Because I'm thinking, I try to change that to currency and it's going into error. What could be the problem? Let me try every possible means to clean. Now, this is where you are now cleaning your data up. Okay, let me try every step, everything I can to clean it up and see. And we get to do that sort of cleaning under Transform. Okay, so under Transform, can you see it's saying lowercase in case I want to change that to lowercase, uppercase in case I want to change my text to uppercase, capitalize each word in case I want to capitalize. We will see how that works in a second. Now, trim is what I'm looking for. So I'll click on trim and it has added that to my applied step. Okay, so I've trimmed it. Anytime I trim, I like to clean as well, just in case, just to fulfill all righteousness. So I'll clean as well. And now let's change that and see if it would let us. Okay, now this is currency type because it's money we are talking about. Okay, so here we go. And it's still not letting it happen. Okay, so I'll remove that step. Okay, how about, let me remove all of these dollar signs. Okay, let me remove this dollar sign so that it acknowledges that this column is actually a number or currency, that it's nothing to do with text. Okay, now how do I get rid of these dollar signs that it has? I can right click. Now everything I'm doing here you can also find the functions under like transform. When I went to transform and I what did I do under transform? I cleaned, isn't it? I cleaned and I trimmed. Okay, I'm sure, yeah. And you can find data types in case you don't want to use that. You can find data types just there. But I'm looking for where you can trim and clean under there. It's there somewhere. You might need to format. Yeah, under format. Okay. So, but I just find right clicking if a function is within you right clicking and getting it. I find it easier than going up here to um to just waste time looking for where is what. Okay. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to replace that $sign with nothing. Okay. So you see, there's replace values here. And I believe I saw replace values somewhere here as well before. Under home, yes, under home, you see there's replace values. Okay, but I'm just gonna right click and go to replace value. Okay, and here it opens this dialog box, says replace one value with another in the selected column. What value should I find? Value to find is the $sign. I'm gonna put $sign there. Okay. And replace it with what? I'll put nothing here because I don't want anything there at all. And just for curiosity, there's advanced option here. It says match entire cell content, replace using special characters. We don't need that. We don't need this advanced option, but it's there for when you think you may. I've never needed to use it for replace values. Anyway, so I'll click OK on that. And you see, those $signs are no more. Just to be sure, I can look through, it says, can you see there's a warning sign? It says list may be incomplete. So I'll say load more, so it loads everything. And I can look through to be sure that none of these numbers, still has a $sign anymore. I'm sure it doesn't. Okay. So I cancel that. And again, you can see that it has added replaced value. It has added that have replaced a value. Now, if you click on the plug wheel, it just brings that step back. In case something didn't go right and you need to do more with this part, you can always get back into your formula there and do what you need to do. Now, if I change this to currency, let's see what it will do. You see, it changed that straight to currency for me. I can decide to just change it to number if I want. Decimal number is still the same thing. It could be decimal number. It could be whole number. For currency, I really don't mind working in anything that's number. And what I mean by that is even if you use number, currency, decimal number, you will still be able to do your mathematical calculations with it. Okay, that's what I mean. Okay, so that data type is sorted now. And then location and ratings, they are all good. All right, they are all good. What else? There was something I wanted to show, which I can't remember anymore, Right, while we are in here, I mean, it's good to look through and just see how, do you have blanks within, this is names now, names of these employees, if there are blanks, how do you want to deal with it? Now you'll be given instruction on what to do. For example, under gender, okay, if I remember this data set correctly, the instruction was that, okay, some of the employees did not disclose their gender. Okay, now you can replace where there is null, and you can see there are blanks here. Okay, you can replace that with undisclosed. Okay, and can you see, if you look at these green lines as well, When you have the green line full, it's telling you that the whole column is filled up. There is no blank, there's no null. But you see this one, it's got some blanks. Can you see that the green line is not full? And if you look through, you can see if I load more, you can see that we have blank, we have female and male, so there are blanks. That's why that's showing that it's not full. We have blanks within salaries as well. Now you're thinking, what am I supposed to do with that? Okay, so I'm going to replace the blanks here, again using replace values. Okay, and I'm going to say I'm replacing nothing because there's nothing there, I believe, which may be undisclosed. They didn't disclose their gender. So I'll say undisclosed. I hope you are still with me. Are we still in class? I've been speaking for a while.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are here.
Oh, Mr. Adewale, I didn't realize you were in class. Welcome.
Yeah, we are following you 100%.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, so undisclosed, and I'll okay that. Okay, so you can now see that all the blanks there have been filled up. Okay, so now we don't have any blanks. We have female, male, and undisclosed, you know, and department, we can see that department is okay. Well, not necessarily. We have null. There's no department called null normally. Okay, now, but at least they filled it up with something. Okay, there would be instructions as well as to why would there be no department name? Why would it be null? Okay, so and then we have salaries that are blank as well. Okay, now the instruction that came with this, yeah, I remember because it was one of the last projects that we did in our data class, so it's still a bit fresh in my memory. Okay, I remember that we were instructed to, if the department is null, we were instructed to filter it out. Okay, so we are just going to on click null there, because according to the instruction, that any department that's null means that the department has been taken out. It doesn't exist anymore. That's why they left it as null. And it's not going to contribute anything to this report. So we took it out. We were also told that anybody whose salary is not recorded here is no longer an employee. They have left. Okay. And this report is a report about our current employees. Okay. So which means they are also not relevant. So anywhere salary is null, I'm unchecking it, you know, and taking it out. Okay. So and I still have a bit of blank there. So which means it's not just that null. That's the problem. There's still something that I need to deal with. Let's look down and see. Now this part I shouldn't be rushing so that I actually see what the problem is. But I'm rushing it and it's so easy to miss out on what it is. And I can't really see anything right now, but that's fine. Let's carry on. I was expecting this to, okay. It says that there's 933 valid, 96% valid, 0% error, 41, which is 4% empty. Okay, that's fine. There's something I need to show us how we can profile our columns. And I believe it's under view. Yes, it's under view. So under view, we have show white space. If I uncheck that, let's see what happens. Nothing really happened. So I'll monospaced. Okay, something changed there. Monospaced, I can't remember what the explanation for monospaced is, but yeah, we can see that there was a change. So one of the assignments that we'll go home with tonight would be to check out what's the function of this mono. What does it mean, monospaced? I see a difference, but I just need to be able to explain what that difference is. I know it's got to do with spacing. Okay, monospace, there's one spacing. But even with this, it looks like there's still one, it's still monospaced, you know, to me. There's no difference in spacing. Okay. Anyway, I'll move off that. And then we have column quality. Now, column quality, immediately I checked it, you can see that we have more information around your column and what's happening there. We can see this is telling us that it's 100% valid. There's no error and there's no empty. Okay, and the same goes for gender and department. The same goes for gender departments. For salary, it's saying that there's 4% empty, despite the fact that we've removed nulls. And I was hoping to find maybe blanks, you know, apart from null, you can have blanks. So I was hoping to find where there is blank when I scroll down, maybe because I'm scrolling too fast and I might have missed it. But I can't see anything right now. Okay, but that's the information we are getting from here. And even from seeing that there's a bit of gray space here as well. Okay, and the rest are also okay. Okay, then we have column distribution. Okay, now what does column distribution show us? Let me remove this so that we will see the column distribution well. Column distribution shows us the distinct and the unique values. Now there's 2 assignments. I wish we could get it down because it's important to our journey now going forward. The first one was to research what Power Query means by monospaced, you know. And now, very importantly, we need to understand the difference between distinct values and unique values. What are distinct values and what are unique values? Okay, it's telling us here that we have 863 distinct values, but 793 of them are unique. Okay, I want us to find out what does that mean. Then we'll discuss it in class tomorrow. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Now, here we have 3 distinct. I mean, even before we take it home as assignment, let's do a bit of class brain gym, you know. I've got male, female, undisclosed, 3 values here. And it's acknowledging from this column distribution that we have 3 distinct values, 0 are unique. Okay, what could that mean? We've got 3 distinct values, and it's saying that zero of them is unique. Okay, I'll let us ponder on that. Okay, now we have 12 distinct values, 0 unique from here as well. You know, 12 distinct values, and there's 0 that is unique. Okay, salary, we have 823 that are distinct, 723 that are unique. And same goes for this. Under here again, we have Lagos, Abuja, and Kaduna. Those are the only 3. It's saying that 3 are distinct, 0 are 0 unique. And under rating, we have average, good, not rated, poor, very good, very poor. Okay, so 6 distinct, 0 unique. Okay, so it will be interesting to see what we bring forward tomorrow about distinct values and unique values. Now, column profile. Okay, column profile, it comes down here to draw this bar graph for us, you know. And at the moment I'm on rating. So because I clicked rating, it's come here to profile this column for us. Okay, and this is what it has found, that if we count the rows, There's 974 rows. There's zero empty, 0 errors, 6 distinct, 0 unique. Empty string is 0. Average, minimum, average, maximum, very poor, you know. And it's distributed them the way they appear. It's like it's done a small a chart for us, you know, and we can see that even from here, when you profile this, you can see that the one appearing most is average. So we have a higher percentage or proportion of average employees rated, and the next being good. Then we have the next being poor, and very poor being the list. That's column profiling. You can do that for each of the columns to get more information about them. These 3 dots are supposed to, okay, maybe it's this, supposed to give us a bit more information. Okay, yes. So this is what I was looking for. So you can either copy or group by, okay? There's a group by function. It says you can group these by value or by text length, okay? If I want to group by value, what happens? I was expecting to see something not, okay, how about text length? Okay. Okay, so I've grouped by text length now. Text length being how many of them have, so it's grouped them into good has 1, 2, 3, 4. Poor has 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So text length 4, this is 305 of them have text length 4. And I think the one with the highest number of letters within the text will be maybe very good. Okay, and that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 9 being, if we look at the space in between them. Okay, so this many are under very good and very poor. Okay, and then we have 7. Which of them will be 7? Is it average? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So average, and we know that average was the was the one that was the highest of them before I did a group by. I just showed that because you see, for those that do all these certification exams, different certification exams, Microsoft Power BI or even Excel, you get asked questions around things that you don't really take note of, you know. The day I was doing a practice question and I saw that question, I came here to actually practice it to see, oh, so there's a group by that's hiding, you know, somewhere here. That's interesting, you know. So it's good to not overlook any of this. You just never know when they will come in, handy. And it didn't work for value because this is a text, field anyway. Maybe if we had done it for salary, you see, and we say group by, it's not even answering itself. That one is even grayed out for salary. Imagine. So it's not going to let me group anything under salary. Okay. But we can see for salary minimum, the most minimum. So without scrolling through, you can see that the lowest number there is 28,130. And the highest number there, max, is 119,930. And the average is that, you can see the statistics. Standard deviation is that very, very quickly without even starting the actual reporting itself. So this is just you doing some statistical analysis, not analysis, but read through, you know, to get more gist on what is it that you are looking at in front of you, you know, and that, you know, sort of gives you more understanding of your type of data, you know, what the problem is, what to do with the problem. You can go ask questions of those that gave you the work. You know, I was looking through my data flows today, and I saw a table that was not. I've set all of them to refresh daily at a particular time. So if any failed, it will send me an email. You know, it will give me an alert in my inbox. And I got there and I thought, oh, what's the problem with this? And it was a date value that I was having problem with, you know. So I went to the source data that was the data that was the source that was it was feeding from. And I saw that some people have written a date, one of their target completion dates as 30/02/2025. Now, 02 is February. February is not up to the 30th. Who in heaven's name is trying to to give me extra work? So it's either they want to write 30/03 or they just forgot themselves and forgot that February is not up to 30. And because it's an end of month date they just put 30 there because it was manually put there, you know. So I just changed to 28/02 and messaged the owners of the data that I found this, I did this. If it's not what you need it to be, if what you needed was 30th of March, then let me know so that I can make that correction, you know. So no, it's good to if you start from understanding what you are getting into, you are starting on a very good note, on a very good step. The rest gradually it starts to unravel. Even if whatever you are being asked to do is looking like a big thing at first, it would gradually fall into place and it won't be anything big anymore. At the end, you would overcome it, you know. There's quite a lot in Power Query that we may not be able to exhaust in Excel. And that's because we are still going to do it, the same thing, exactly, a little bit, maybe a little bit just more, but exactly the same in Power BI, which we would start soon. I just didn't want to not show us a few sides to Excel, which this is one of, you know, before we move off Excel, okay? So if we assume now that, let me go into there and uncheck column profile. Some people leave these on, you know, and some people leave these on, you know, but if I've finished using it for what I need to use it for, I don't like leaving it. I don't want to be seeing too many things, you know, and all our steps have been added where we filtered has been added there. We can see, okay. And if, for example, if for any reason we need to add an extra column on here, whatever the column is for, maybe you want to create an ID, you know, for somebody by name and you want to add, you want to join their name and department together to make ID, you know, maybe their first name or whatever. We use add column, you know, to get extra columns added in there with whatever formula. And it could be, you know, that is conditional. I won't go too much into this in Excel, okay? This particular work, I think I'll bring it for us to dwell on and get our hands dirty on, you know, in Power BI is nicer to do there. So I'll bring it for us to start learning Power BI with. What else? Our time is far spent. There is a lot here, but I would love for us to go play around with this, you know, and like you are playing with a toy, you know, that's the best way to just play around. Don't worry that anything is breaking or not breaking. No, you know, play with it as much as you can. And when all your cleaning and everything is done, you just come here. It says load, close and load, or close and load to. Okay, can either close and load and it just loads it, you know, it just loads it normally. And you can say close and load to. And it's asking me, where am I closing and loading it to? You know, if I had closed and load normally, it would just add it as an extra table here and that's it. Now I'm saying that I want it to be closed and load to, is it to a table, to a pivot table report, a pivot chart, or only create connection, you know, or if I want it to be added to a data model, okay? Again, I would love to show us how to do this data modeling in Excel. It would be nice to see it as well, okay? But even nicer within Power BI, because that gives us good room to play with, okay? But we can't really be loading to data model now because we only have one table. You do data model when you have more than one, when you have maybe two tables that needs to be joined together to communicate with each other, okay? So maybe to show us that in Excel before we move off, I could look for, I could look for a table, a data set that's got more than one in it, and we'll see how Power Pivot works in Excel, okay? So I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince and not to confuse you that Excel is a great tool.